I would say the style, flavor, and dancing part of this art is way harder. And I knew it was working too because I was getting a lot of compliments from people like, "Yo, you were dancing tonight. I haven't seen you that comfortable with the music ever." And I was like, "All right." And I don't really care if my competitors tend to see it because like either way, you're gonna get it on the floor when you see me.
So you know what's amazing? I believe today you will have been dancing for 460 days in a row.
Yeah, yeah. Today is that day. Yeah,
That's unheard of.
460.
That is unheard
Yeah,
of,
it's a
especially
lot.
in recent times.
Oh
First
yeah.
off, what was your motivation for it? And secondly, what have you learned from it?
Yeah. So my motivation for it, right? Kind of two motivations, right? My crewmate Nico did it, and then I saw Flea Rock did it, right? And like I saw multiple things, right? At the time when I started this, I was wanting to build my own personal brand a little bit more, right? So I was like, okay, let's do this to build my brand. But on the second hand, right, I knew it would help evolve my breaking in a new way. I knew it would make me more dedicated. So I decided just to go gun ho on it. I remember I was talking to Flea Rock. I was like, man, I'm thinking about doing the challenge. And he was like, he was really the person that said, do it, man. Just do it. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I remember I posted that first video and I was like, fuck, I'm nervous because like with me and how my brain works, like doing that every day for 365, it felt impossible at the beginning. I was like, ah, I don't know if I'm going to do this. But as the days went on, it became a habit, right? It just became easier and easier. It became like getting a coffee in the morning, right? Like just like a normal activity. Um, I've learned a lot from it, a lot about myself. Just knowing that I'm capable of more than I think. Dedication really has a huge impact. Consistency, right? And I was always a consistent dancer and b-boy before doing 365, right? But it kind of took it to a new level where I was just more conscious of the actions and things I was thinking about on a daily basis, right? I had always thought about breaking like every day, but now it was just like my waking thought to like going to sleep thought. Like morning and night, I was always thinking about breaking. And I really think it's helped evolve my dancing to a new level. And it's just been a journey, right? Like what people always say, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. That's how it's felt, right? I've just enjoyed the entire process so much to when I got to the 365, I was like, I don't really want to stop. I was like, I want to keep going. So I think I don't really have a set date when I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna be real, but I think I'm gonna go for a whole nother year and then be like, all right, I'm gonna chill.
But how do you keep
Yeah.
things interesting? Because you're sharing your dancing every day.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? I remember asking Flea Rock, I was like, how do you make it interesting? He was like, honestly, it's not gonna be interesting the whole time. It's gonna get boring. But that's a part of the process. You just gotta keep going. I've switched it up just a bit, right? Like in the beginning, my videos were a bit more raw, right? Uncut. Now it's they're a bit shorter, right? I try and keep it interesting, whether it's a top rock video one day or footwork video or power, a mix of everything, some new stuff I'm doing, right? I try and keep it different. On top of posting my 365, right? I started to post like tip videos for power moves, a little bit of motivational content. I'm gonna start pushing that a little bit more, right? But I just realized the 365, right? That's kind of like the basis for what I'm doing. That's like my bread and butter right now, what I usually do. And I realized I could branch off that and start posting other types of content that I feel the scene needs, like especially like tip videos. I feel like when I watch somebody showing you how to do something on Instagram, breaking related, like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. I'm like, like make it interesting, make it fun. So like I try and keep a certain level of like lightness to the videos I post, like informational but still fun, right? It's not easy. It's been a learning process, right? But I'm getting there. I'm getting
So,
there.
how does this then change your approach for events? Does it interfere with your training that much, or is it a case of you're already training and you're showing a little bit of it to others?
Yeah, and that's something I had to think about, right? Like it definitely doesn't affect it in a negative way. Definitely not, because it just makes me more focused, right? Like, all right, I have this event. I'm training every day. I'm gonna be prepared for it no matter what. Now it's just like being strategic, right? I don't really censor what I post. Like what I work on that day is what I work on that day, and you tend to see it, right? And I don't really care if my competitors tend to see it, because like either way, you're gonna get it on the floor when you see me. You know, you could see some footage of me, whatever, and that's just footage in my garage. You saw like a little clip of me doing a move or a combo, and like that's cool, right? But it always changes and it's always different when it comes to the moment of the battle, right? Like a lot of people just run sets, right? Like I have like combos and things and material, right? But I don't like format it in this way and I only stick to that, right? Like at the end of the day, it's a dance, right? The music dictates what we do. So nothing I will ever throw will be the same, right? Like I'll have like the same sort of material and combo bits, but they're not going to be thrown in the same format, the same way, the same speed, right? Because it's always going to be dictated by the music. So I don't really I don't really care about my competitors seeing what I do because it's like it's always going to be different in the moment. But I feel like it's made me train for events harder and has just only made me more prepared for these higher level competitions.
Hmm. I think one of the interesting things that social media has introduced into the scene is that we see a lot more of people. But what tends to happen is there's element of surprise almost isn't there anymore. And I know that with me filming events, I've had a part in this, right? Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I know that there's events that I've been a part of and filmed, and over again, you're just used to seeing certain things, right? So if
Mhm.
you need to keep your secret shit a secret for the battle, but then on the other hand, it's like everybody's seeing everything anyway. So does it really matter? Like, how do you factor that into it?
It's one of those things, right? You gotta know what to show and what not to show. Like, just because I post every day, that doesn't mean I'm showing my secret shit, you know?
That's
Like
what I needed to
I
hear.
still have secret shit, that I don't let out the vault yet till it's ready, you know? Um,
That's
it's
what I
just
needed to hear because
yeah,
it can get a little bit um you don't want to ruin the moment in a way. Maybe it's just because I've been around for a while and you just
mhm,
love to see things for the first time live.
yes, yes. Yeah. No doubt. It is a fine line, right? I feel like majority of the things I post, like 95% of it, it's like it's new, but it's not new to the extent where it's like, holy shit, this guy just reinvented the wheel. You know what I mean? Right? Like, it's just not there. Although I have those ideas in my back pocket that I'm consistently working on, right? It's you got to be careful with what you show and not you show still, right? It's just for me personally, I'm just like I don't really care, right? Like I enjoy creating, right? Like I really enjoyed like posting, filming. I like to edit videos, so it's like I enjoy it. But I do know like certain things hit differently in the moment. So trust me, I have those like two or three, four moves, concepts that I'm waiting for the right moment. For jams like Outbreak, IBE, things like that, right? So you got as much as like I feel like you shouldn't care, you also do got to keep a certain level of surprise. It's that fine line, that gray area.
Yeah, of course. And since you've recently gotten down with MZK, have they shared any new wisdom and ideas with you that you've managed to adopt into your rounds and into your approach?
Yes, absolutely. Every day. I,
Yeah,
I remember earlier.
actually talk about it first. Like, how did you make the connection with MZK, and then answer the rest of that question? Sorry.
Yeah, of course. No. So I've known specifically Alien Ness ever since I started breaking, like 15 years ago. I knew him through Furious Styles when I was a part of them. Um, the relationship has always been there. Um, they were kind of just waiting for the interest to be seen on my end, right? So I remember we went to an event. It was really kind of funny. We went to an event and we were like, you were like, yo, what's up, Ness? Where's our vest? Where's our vest? Kind of like hinting like, yo, where's our MZK vest? And from there, the conversation started. And the cool thing is like we've always been connected to MZK. Like many members, whether it's Smurf, one of original 13, or like Bam, right? Like we've always been connected to these certain people. Like Candy, a lot of like individuals. So it was kind of just like it fit, right? And it took about like a year, year and a half, almost 2 years. No, I'd say about like a year and a half till we were like fully down and we got our vest. And like it's a good feeling. It really is. Like wearing that vest, it feels different. Like it feels prestigious. It feels unique. I love it. Right. Like I almost feel like when I put my vest on, like I feel like a different person sometimes. Like I feel just more like it's weird. It's such a weird feeling, but good at the same time, right? Like it's I feel very proud wearing the vest. So yeah, like I've learned a lot from them, learning. Like I've always been mainly power based. And so just like, strong and raw, this, that, like very not super dancing, right? Like my brother, like to my brother, he can dance. He got mad flavor, character, right? I've never had a whole lot of that. I've just had a lot of energy and power. I've always wanted to evolve past that. I don't want to be confined to the box that I've started my career in. I'm amazing at power, yes, but I could be more than that. And I know I could be more than that because little moments of it have come out of me dancing, being mad flavorful, having a lot of character. It's there. I just got to help bring it out. So talking to people like Flea Rock and my crew MZK specifically, right? They've given me some tips, tricks, ideas, ways to think to help bring that bit of me out. And specifically at Undisputed, I really saw like a difference in my dancing, right? I was taking my time, I was enjoying the music, letting the moment move me, and it felt really, really, really good,
Yeah,
because
that
I
was the
finally felt
recent
like,
Undisputed event where you made the finals.
yes, yeah, the most recent one. And it felt really good because I was like, finally, this is what I've been trying to do. And I knew it was working too, because I was getting a lot of compliments from people like, yo, you were dancing tonight. I haven't seen you that comfortable with the music ever. And I was like, all right, it's working. So yeah, just it's they really helped me evolve other areas of my dance.
It's interesting that you say that because normally, I mean, the advice nowadays for any young kids that are learning is get all the difficult moves down first. Then it's easier to learn how to dance. It's easier then to work on your more fundamental movements. How much has that base really helped you with this?
Well, it's helped me a lot, but at the end of the day, I'm a very foundational breaker. So like even though I've been doing hard moves ever since I was like a little kid, right? Like I've always had a very strong foundation. So I do think it's important learning your foundation first and then going to the hard stuff. But as I've been learning how to dance and you're building your own personal style and flavor and character as someone who's mainly done power their entire career, I would say the style, flavor, and dancing part of this art is way harder. It's way harder. I mean, because like if we're thinking about this logically, power moves, like these tricks, it's a game of numbers, right? It's all about okay, in a certain amount of attempts, you're eventually going to get it. But style, that's something that evolves with you. That takes time, right? It's not something like, okay, I'm going to work on this for a month and I'm going to have it. No, it's just not how it works, right? It's constantly changing and evolving. And I would even say like seeing people going to certain events changes it, right? Like just going to one event, I feel like my style has leveled up. And I'm like, okay, I have an idea of what I want to look like more now. I'm gonna keep going that direction, right? It's a test and tune game. With power, it's just like, all right, I'm gonna train this move for so and so time. And by the end of that time, you'll typically have it and be like, okay, I'm gonna throw it in battle. Whereas to style, it's like, I didn't like that I was doing this. I need to change this up a little bit. I need to work on my speed and slowing down, taking my time. There's a lot of beats in that song I didn't hit. I could have been playing with that, right? Like I would say it's harder, you know, and
Is
and
it
maybe
harder
that's just
just
because
because it's new to you? Or is it actually like the way in which people would learn it and approach it is just harder as a whole just to look that fresh and to feel that good?
yeah. I would say even though it's new to me and it's never been an easy thing for me to bring out, I would still say it's harder because when you see these guys at this like high level, like first name that comes to my mind, Diaz. The way this guy breaks is so fresh. It is so hard to get to that level of like style and charisma and flavor and dance, right? Like that is not easy. Like the way he does it, like he has perfected his, I wouldn't say he's perfected it yet because none of us are perfect, right? But he knows how he wants to dance and he has fine tuned it, right? Like there are so many high level power heads, so many. We could go on for days and days and days about power heads, right? But there's only a couple guys like Diaz at that high level that are dancing like that. So that's why I say it's harder, just because it's uncommon. It's not uncommon, but like at this, as you get higher and higher in these like competitions and levels, right? It's not as common, right? And the guys that are doing it, at least me personally, when I watch them, they make me want to dance. They make me want to dance. I can watch a power hit all day. I'm like, yo, this guy's nasty. He's so dope. He got crazy tricks. But I don't get that same feeling when I see somebody dancing and rocking the music and just enjoying their time and just, creating just like they're painting this picture as they're dancing, right? To me, it's two different things. Like, and the person who really sparked this with like this road for me, like wanting to go down this path, is losing the hijack mad times. Like just because this guy can, yes, man, this guy can dance. He paints a picture, right? Like I love his style, and it's like guys like this have made me just be like, there's more. Like imagine if I could dance like that, and then hit the craziest combo on your ass afterwards. Like, come on, best of both worlds. That's what I'm aiming for, honestly.
Yeah, no, and it's a good thing that you are. I remember years ago, people were feeling the same way about Why Not when he did that Top Rock 7 to Smoke and absolutely killed it. And everybody's like, we need a dance now. We really need to think about this. Because not that it was the first time, but I think it was a moment where people were like, okay, you can dance and make it look good and you can win with it. Because some people think if you dance, you don't have a big arsenal of moves and you're going to lose. So
Hmm.
guys like Why Not really make that known that you
Yes,
can
yeah,
dance and you can win.
yeah. That's actually another person I've been working with too. Why not? Like he's been helping me out a bit, and it's been helping a lot. Just learning how to use my hands, like the rock of the dance, right? It's been extremely impactful. It does kind of make sense, right? Like the more you dance, the less moves you're able to do because it kind of switches, right? But that's another thing, right? It's a fine line, right? You could have your moves and dance. It's like me personally, when you go out there, you're allowed to have your material, your moves you like to do, the things you have personal to you, but it should always be freestyle, right? Like each song is different, which requires a different moment,
So
And a
what's
lot
the
of breaking is
process?
like,
Sorry to interrupt. What's the process in your head when you're thinking that way? Because some people will hear that, they'll be like, "Oh, you just have to go off. You just have to listen to the music." But they'll
yeah.
listen to the music, but then run their moves. So just what does that look like for you?
So there's two aspects to it, right? Especially in battle, right? There's listening to the music and then there's the conversation, right? A lot of people forget this. When I'm versing you, we're battling each other, right? It's not, I'm going to do what I do, you're going to do what you do. Yes and no, right? You're going to do what you do. Oh, you did that? Okay, well, I got something for that. Or I'm going to do what you do, but better, right? It's conversating, right? A lot of people like, and I'm noticing this, a lot of people aren't talking. They're just throwing moves, but they're not talking, right?
And the best battles are when they are talking.
Yes. Yes. Any battle that you watch at the highest level, that's just like people going nuts on both sides, like, oh, like they're talking to each other. They're like, oh, you got that? Yo, I got something for that. Perfect. Right? Like people forget like to talk when they break. And then the other part, of course, is the music, right? Letting the music dictate what you do. Guys like Diaz, they literally base what they do entirely off the music while doing their material, right? So it's like I feel like it is a fine line because the more you focus on the music, the less easy it is to do your moves. But like that all depends on like how well do you know your moves? Like do you have to look at your phone before every battle? Or do you know your moves so well that you know you could do A, B, and C whenever the hell you want, right? So it's just I don't know, and especially when battling, right? I like to keep a certain level of spontaneousness when I'm breaking, right? Like it always hits different when I'm going one way and then boom, I do something else and you totally weren't expecting it, right? Those create a lot of like those wow moments too, you know.
Yeah. And I think it's a really interesting point that you make about the conversation because it could be a little better in our scene. While we're missing that conversation aspect, the level's just gone way up. So maybe now I'm starting to see that the conversation piece is just let me just level up a lot more. So now we're seeing battles where it's just the level is always like just going higher and higher and higher. I don't know if that makes
Hmm.
sense, but that's just sort of the way that I'm seeing it a little bit more now.
It does. It does make sense. Even though like the level has gotten higher and higher and higher, we still got to remember it's a battle, right? So even though the level is higher and people are getting doper and doper and doper, crazier and crazier and crazier, right? We still got to remember it's not only you on the floor. You're not showcasing by yourself. You're battling, and that's another thing. People don't necessarily battle. They go out, they do their moves, they walk back to their side instead of yo. I'm gonna direct everything I have at you because I'm battling you, right? Maybe that's just the West Coast in me from the USA, right? But I grew up. You got your moves, you got your dope material. You're gonna make sure you're directing everything at your opponent because at the end of the day, it's a battle. And that right there, that helps sparks the conversation, right? Like if I'm throwing everything I have against you and doing it with all the energy I have, you feel it. You're like, whoa, I feel like this guy's attacking me right now, right? Like,
That's the way it should
I don't,
be.
it's the way it should be. And like, I would say I haven't felt that a whole lot with the little bit of time I've spent in Europe. Obviously, this year I'm going to be spending all my time in Europe, like from June to September. I'm over there hitting every major event I can, right? So of course I'm gonna see more. I'm relatively new to the scene out there when it comes to like that adult level. As a kid, I did my thing over there, but now I'm at a new level with breaking, right? I haven't gotten to see the full picture, but I have an idea, and I don't feel that battle aspect that I feel over here. Like I feel like when I battle over here in the States, like I feel like people are trying to come at me and like cut my throat. Like they're trying to end me. And I love that because like for me personally, it flips a switch. And I'm like, all right, let's go. I get more excited, right? Um, I would say at the in the finals of Undisputed Japan, I felt the battle aspect against Samuka. Because when we were facing off, this guy was just staring at me. And I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a battle. All right, let's go. And if they show it in the video, I think they do, right? But you see me kind of like nodding my head and talking a little bit. I'm like, yeah, let's go. There we go, finally, because I finally felt like someone wanted to end me. I was like, all right, it made me more excited, right? Um, yeah, yeah, it's. I'm interested in seeing what else like the battle cats in Europe have to offer because I know they're there, but like I haven't experienced a whole lot of it yet. I feel a difference from the States compared to Europe in that battle aspect.
That is something that I've noticed as well. Sort of the other way around when I go to the States, that energy is there, whether I'm in New York or I'm in LA or somewhere
Mm.
else. It's
Yeah.
a bit more, it's embodied more.
Yeah, yeah. I would say in Europe they're primarily focused on the moves and the content within your round. And I'm not saying like one is right above the other. I'm just saying in my own personal experience and like what I like. I feel like the moves are important, yes, but it's not as important when you're just going out there and doing your own set and walking away compared to, all right, I'm going to do all these dope moves I've been making and I'm going to throw them at you and it's going to hit differently, right? Like, if I could have an example of someone who does this, I feel like the top level guys, like, I would say like Phil Wizard. I feel like he does this pretty well. Like, he has like a lot of dope moves and concepts. And I would say he does it in the way where I feel like he's battling me. He's looking at you. He tends to conversate with his breaking. I notice, right? Like certain people do it, but I would say for the majority, Most don't. But I would say, yeah, that's the biggest difference. Battling and then moves, which both have their pros and cons, right?
Yeah, when you were thinking of your example, I was thinking of all the Havakoro guys. They normally do it. I've seen that
Yeah,
for a long, long time. And that's
yeah.
actually one thing I love about them. It's just regardless of whether they win or lose, they come to win.
They battle. They battle. Like truly. I think one of the best battles I had last year was me and Maddox versus Jeremy and Palmer. That was dope. Like, especially because like one, we're brothers, they're brothers. But like, yo, they battled us. Like it was so like it felt so good to like have like a real true battle because like we were going at it from start to finish. And like it was one of those battles where it ended and I was like, God, I don't care if I win or lose. This was such a great time. I'm just happy. Right? Like, cause
You
I
are part of the
rarely get to,
moment.
yeah, like the power of the moment. Exactly. Right. Like it's not a common feeling anymore where like you just get done battling and you knew that was like crazy and the emotions were high and both ends were giving it all they had and you saw it and you felt it, right? Like for some reason it's just not as common anymore, which kind of sucks, right? Because it's a good feeling, right? Like going like real rounds, like we of course we battle, we go rounds, but there's a difference between exchanging moves and talking, conversing, right? And I feel like, especially with Palmer and Jeremy and me and Maddox, because we were both brothers on both ends, right? It made it a bit more, I wouldn't say personal, but it made it a bit different. There was a different aspect to it, right? It felt like family versus family, right? Like, yo, who really is better, right? So like I remember, and I also remember like a year before we battled them, they had beat us at an event. Same thing, 2v2, brothers versus brother, they beat us. So I know at least on me and Max's end, we were like, yo, we got to get these guys. It's time. We got to get our payback, right? So it was like, let's go. That's another thing for like battles, right? Like if I lose to someone, you're automatically put on a list in my head of like, all right, this guy beat me, I got to get him. This guy beat me, got to get him. Like I have that list, and it's nothing personal. It's just like purely competitive. Like, yo, when I see you, it's on. We're gonna battle. But of course, it's all love at the end of the day, always.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've only got one more thing to ask you. We've covered a lot. I've got one more thing to ask you, bro. The
Hmm.
Olympics is this year. This is
Yes.
a two parter here. First off, are you excited for it? And then secondly, actually, I'll add on a question. Is it a good thing for the scene? And why should we be watching it this year? Or why should anybody be watching it this year?
Okay. Is the Olympics a good thing for the scene? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, one, it just gives dancers in the scene who've worked their entire lives real opportunity to live off what we're doing. I mean, if we're going to be real, it's not easy to live off breaking at all. 95% of us have a part-time job or something we do on the side, right? The fact that the Olympics is giving us an opportunity to live fully off breaking is a very big deal. And it kind of trips me out how people think like it's a bad thing for the scene. We're like, no, it's gonna get watered down, this and that. The scene's been getting watered down for years. These people aren't focusing on the cultural things, right? A lot of people don't know their history. That's an important thing. That's a cultural thing, right? Things like conversating in battle, learning the style and dance aspect of the dance rather than just learning all the sickest moves, right? Things like that are important, and people aren't focusing on it as much. So, yes, it's a give and take, right? The less you focus on it, the liar tends the level tends to get higher because people are just pushing to higher highs, making new and new moves, right? But you're just starting to see a lot of the same stuff and not like a lot of true art. You know what I mean? So I would say the Olympics is beautiful, right? It gives us a chance to live off it. Um, what was your other question?
Are you looking forward to it and why should people be watching it?
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to it. It's gonna be interesting, right? Because we're gonna see the best of the best there. during our time, 2024, the best of the best will be there. So I'm excited, right? Of course, I have my favorite, right? Let's go, Victor. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. It's being done on a platform we've never seen breaking on, right? So of course, I feel like a lot of people are kind of nervous, maybe even scared, right? But I think at the end of the day, it's a really big opportunity. People from all around the world are going to get to see what we do and what we love. And like, let's be real. Most of us, when we saw breaking for the first time, were like, whoa, this is amazing. How do I do this? Right. And I feel like a lot of people who don't even know that breaking's still happening or know that there's a big community for it are going to gravitate towards it. And I feel like we're going to get a lot of new faces. And we just got to remember like what to show them, what to teach them, and how to work with these new faces, right? Hip hop's all about peace, love, and unity. Unfortunately, it's not immediately when you get in the scene. It's not like, yo, I'm in the scene, peace, love, unity right away. No, peace, love, unity is something you achieve, right? So it's just all about entering the right circles, getting with the right people, learning the proper things you need to learn, and then from there, enjoy the process because breaking is a journey. It is a journey. So I'm excited for the future of breaking. I think it's heading in a beautiful direction, and we as a community just have to remember, what's important to us. Like let's not let any new faces, whether it's a company or a brand or just people getting into the scene, let's not let them change things up in a negative way. Let's keep the culture real. Let's keep it alive.